Hey everybody, Jeremy here from Shade Tree Vintage Auto and DD Auto and Salvage in Logan, Utah. And this is going to be a really special video. We're going to go over some engines that were actual Chrysler history. They were raced in Can-Am by like Jackie Oliver. And I purchased them from Paul Rossi. After we go over these engines, even cooler, over an hour of story time with legendary drag racer, Pikes Peak hill climb champion, and just all around great guy, Paul Rossi. So be sure to stick around and watch till the end because it is super cool. At first glance, these don't look like anything special other than just some Mopar small block stuff, right? Well, that is entirely incorrect. These are the 305 cubic inch race small blocks. So they're very similar, and I believe the blocks are the same as what would have been raced by like Dan Gurney and whatnot in the 70 Challenger TA, the AAR CUDA, all of that in the Trans Am Racing Series. These ones were actually raced in Can-Am in the Shadow Power cars, which were, like I said, Can-Am. So if you haven't ever heard of that, look up Don Nicholes from Shadow Power, and really incredible stuff. So these were raced in cars such as the Shadow DN4B and the Shadow DN6, and driven by people like Jackie Oliver. In fact, these actually could have been driven by Jackie Oliver because these came from the Don Nicholes estate. So these have like really cool racing pedigree. There is proof, as you'll see in the video where I picked them up from Paul Rossi, and Paul tells the story about how he got them. Anyway, so we're going to kind of go over the blocks first. Like I said, they kind of look just like regular small blocks at first glance until you start looking at how smooth they are. They've been O-ringed. The bell housing actually, or not bell housing, but the back of the block was cut out. This one you can see was labeled stage 2. Now, honestly, I don't really know what that means, but kind of cool. You'll notice there's no motor mount provisions. There's no place for an oil filter. This one's upside down, so you can see that it just had lines going in. Another really cool thing to note is their 4-bolt main caps. So you can see that it actually had bigger caps. In fact, I've got a couple over here. So 4-bolt main. Anyway, really neat. Now, there's some speculation as to who actually built the blocks, whether they were Chrysler or whether they were done by Keith Black. As you can see, they've been O-ringed and sleeved, all of that good stuff. Really, really neat blocks. Now, they were rated at 305 cubic inch, but in the research I've done, they were actually 303.8. And these engines would go up to 9,000 RPM, which is absolutely incredible. They were rated at, I want to say, 560 horsepower at 8,500 RPM, and they ran a 5-speed. Now, if you come over here and look at the heads, these are W2 heads, just basically Chrysler W2 heads. You can see the Pentastar and the part number. These are the race heads, so you can see that they're flat right here where the rockers would have went, and you had to use rocker stands. Really, really neat stuff. Now, one thing that proves, other than the video that I have and everything, that they came from Shadow Power is the valve covers. And if you look at these valve covers, you can see one says Dodge, one says Shadow Power, and you look at the vintage pictures of the Can-Am cars from Don Nicholes, you will see those valve covers, and nowhere else have I ever seen them other than on those cars. Really, really interesting and neat stuff. This head looks like it's never actually been used, but they must have been using it for some sort of testing, because you can see that they actually cut the head probably to measure how much they could change things and whatnot. Just incredibly cool stuff. Also, all these NOS bearings, everything. Another thing that tells you that it was for really high RPM is if you look at the rockers, you know, they just look kind of normal until you notice that everything in between each of the rockers, the rocker stands, they actually had bearings. So a lot less friction, higher RPM, all of that good stuff. So we have 4 cranks, And the cranks were built by Keith Black. In fact, I believe a couple of them have the person that built its name inscribed on the back of them. You can see we've got a couple of the other rocker shafts, but I unfortunately don't have all of the rockers other than just one set. And these are actually not the correct 4-bolt mains, but they could be made to work. These ones, I have one correct one, and that could be sent to Milodon and they could build them. Also, note the piston, how domed they are. Those things were like high compression. Really, really cool stuff. Now we'll go over here. These are the oil pans, and as you can see, they were dry sumped and had, you know, windage trays, everything like that. And it would just pump the oil right to the top of the engine. You can see on the valve covers all the provisions and pieces that they put in so that the oil would just get pumped right to the top everywhere it needed to be. Obviously, it went through the galleys and everything as well. Then we got one set of rods, and Paul in the video after this will explain what these different bolts are. Then back over here, so these valve covers, kind of cool. So they're very similar to the Wiend ones, but what I have found with these is they were actually sold through Hustle Stuff and Direct Connection. And if you don't know what Hustle Stuff is, Hustle Stuff was actually pre-Direct Connection, and I believe it changed in like 1973 or 4 from the Hustle Stuff name to Direct Connection. So if you find these ribbed valve covers like this with no name stamping here, those are the Hustle Stuff / Direct Connection ones. So now I'll go over one of the cranks that I have out because I wanted to show you some really cool stuff about this that's very unique. So they were really like balanced and rebalanced and made sure that they were basically perfect. So you can see where they drilled a whole bunch of places all over. And if they over drilled it, they would weld it up, rebalance it, check everything out. And that's not really the cool part about it. You can see how small it is, really short stroke. But what's really interesting to me is the back of the crank. And small blocks, as anybody knows that's a Mopar guy and plays with small blocks, they had 6 bolts in the back. In fact, even 440s only had 6 bolts in the back. The only ones that had 8 were 426 HEMIs, and then these 305 race engines. So it's got 8 bolts for, you know, really heavy duty. Plus, if you look inside, the pilot bushing, it's kind of hard to see, is actually their bearings. Here, let me hear you grab my flashlight. So you can see their actual needle bearings in there. So that way there would be less friction, therefore more horsepower. Oh, just about dropped the one. This stuff, really cool, and it actually has a real pedigree, a real race pedigree with proof. You know, Don Nicholes did all sorts of really cool Can-Am racing and used Dodge just for a little bit, but this is some of the real stuff from his estate. There's pictures of Jackie Oliver driving a DN4B, I believe it is, with an engine just like this, if not one of these very engines. Unfortunately, there's no way to prove that he drove them, but they came from the race team that he drove for. Such cool stuff. And this is probably all going to be for sale, but I want it to go kind of to a specific group. It's either going to go to like a racing history museum or somebody that has either a Can-Am car they're restoring or AAR or TA e-body that was raced in like the original Trans Am series, because that's kind of where these need to be because of the pedigree. That being said, if somebody wants to pay the money, they can do whatever they want, but I want to sell it as a set with all of it. And as you'll be able to see in the video that's coming up after this part, I purchased it from Paul Rossi, and you can see all of this stuff with him as he tells the story. Also, you'll be able to check all of this stuff out in the June 2024 Mopar Collector's Guide where there's pictures of it and the story from Paul Rossi as well. Anyway, really cool, really unique, really rare. There's got to be just a small handful of this stuff out there. And with the racing pedigree, that just makes it even cooler. So now it's my pleasure to show you this other part of the video. And this is really cool and kind of dear to me. Paul Rossi has become a really good friend of mine. And when we went and purchased these engines, myself, my friend Johnny Mopar, and if you haven't checked out his YouTube channel, be sure to. We were able to go spend several hours with Paul and got to hear some amazing stories. And Paul told us to go ahead and roll and listen. Now, unfortunately, a lot of the video part is not great quality and some of the sound is not that great of quality. But just listen and enjoy. It is so much history firsthand from somebody that raced back with Ram Chargers and Sox and Martin and all those guys. He was part of the factory Chrysler experimental team. He did a ton of stuff with Direct Connection. I mean, the stories are absolutely amazing and so much fun to hear, so much history. If you're into racing, whether it's drag racing or Pikes Peak or just any racing at all, Paul was part of it and he did a lot of really cool things. And so just sit back, listen, enjoy, and let me know what you think. And also, if you haven't done so, be sure to hit that subscribe button. So enjoy.
You could get. That's a HEMI bottom end kind of thing.
Really?
Yeah, that's that kind of rod. Mm-hmm.
You said SP bolts?
SPS.
SPS bolts.
SPS bolts.
Yeah, you can see.
We used to sell them in Direct Connection catalog before there was ARP.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Are they still around or they're gone?
Oh, I think they're gone. Our ARP just, man, they're the raspberries now.
Right.
But back then, you know, SPS was that was as good as it got. As far as I remember.
Wow.
Now back in the '60s, I built my engines with Caterpillar bolts.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Best bolts I could get.
No shit.
There was no ARP.
Yeah.
So I went to Caterpillar, I bought the main bearing bolts and all that stuff, and that's what we did back then. I started my first Mopar in 1963.
Very cool. Very cool. What was it? 63
Max
Dodge?
Wedge.
Max Wedge. Dodge or Plymouth?
Plymouth, thank you, good question.
Yeah.
I went to the first, why you want the story?
Let's do the story.
Okay. Back in 1963, I was racing a Fuel Vet in C Sports, locally in Detroit Dragway. It was right back by my house, and I would watch the Superstock cars out there running, the Ram Chargers, the Commandos, and the guys like Roger Lindermood and Branster. They had a car called Color Me Gone, very famous car.
Yeah.
And so they'd be running on a given Sunday, give or take, and they would rent the track because they were engineers.
Right.
And so one Sunday when I was there, a gentleman came up to me and said, "Hey," he said, "How about tuning up my car?" I said, "What is it?" He said, "It's a Ram Charger." So I said, "I don't do work on people's cars." I said, "I just do this as a hobby." And I said, "And then there's all these guys here with their, just ask them, they know how to do it, you know." And he said, "Well, they won't talk to me." And I said, "Oh." So he said, "You sure I can't talk you into doing it?" And I said, "Well, I don't have a place to do it." He said, "Well, the gentleman that drives for me runs my Sunoco station, and you can do it there." And I said, "I don't think that I would be a good place to super tune a car with people wanting to change your tire and all."
Right.
Well, I'll shut the place down.
Holy crap.
Whoa. I said, "Is that really?" And he goes, "Yeah." I said, "Well," so I was with a couple of my high school buddies, and I said, "Hey, you want to work on this guy's car?" I said, "I think it would be interesting. I'd like to see what I could do with it, and he'll pay us." And they go, "Pay us?" "Yeah, we're in." So, okay.
That was easy to convince
him.
him.
We went down there and worked on it. Started on a Friday, closed the station up just like you promised. Gave us the keys, and we worked there all pretty much Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday, and a little bit into Monday. And I don't know what he paid us, but we were happy with that. And he went out and he won the next 4 or 5 times in a row.
Holy crap.
And then I said, geez, maybe I should get one of those cars.
Yeah.
So I went down to Westbourne Chrysler Plymouth, who had just moved into Dearborn Ford World, and he was the first Chrysler dealer in Dearborn.
Wow.
So I happened to walk in there, and I said, I'd like to speak to the owner. And he said, okay, he's back there. And I went back and said, I'm Dick Spencer. And I said, well, I'm Paul Rossi, and I said, I'd like to get a super stock lightweight Plymouth and Ram Charger. And I think the Plymouths were called super stocks, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
And Ram Chargers were the Dodge guys, I think. Anyway, he said, yeah. I said, I can get one. I can get you one. I said, well, if you get it to me for at the cost figure, I'll put your name on it. And I don't mean on the fender. I mean from the front of the car to the tail. So it said Westbourne across it. And I did that.
Nice.
And he said, yeah, I'd love to. He said, it's something you don't know about me. I used to be the sales manager of Bob Ford before I got this place a month ago. And they're giving me the raspberries, and we used to race on Sunday, sell on Monday. We had a Ford racing program. So you can't believe you're in the right place at the right time. I want to do this.
Wow.
I
Dude.
go, cool beans. So he ordered the car came in, I got a wrecker, picked it up, towed it home. I didn't have a trailer or anything to take it.
Yeah.
I had a wrecker take it home. Took it in the backyard. I didn't have a garage, had a big tree. And so we all started taking it apart. And it's a brand new car.
Yeah.
Brand new. Took every nut and bolt out where the bolt went past the nut, cut that off, took it, rods out, put tubes in them, lightened it up as best as we could, and I'm working on the motor. And so my mom one day, she said, you got a brand new car? I go, yeah. She said, where is it? And I said, it's outside, Mom. She said, where? I said, right out there. She said, I don't see it. And I said, oh, right there, Mom, under the tree. Oh my gosh. What did you do? I said, I'm helping it. I'm like moving through things around. So, oh, I can't believe you did that to your new car. I never went out and went to the drive-in, got a Coke in it. I did nothing. I went home, got it done. Got
0 miles. 0 miles.
0
on
miles.
it.
Yeah, 0 miles. And got it all finished. Went out and had a guy by the name of Bartley Kenyon from Detroit do the cylinder heads. And there's a story all by itself there, but we won't go into that part. He did the cylinder heads, I did the rest of the motor. And I didn't bore it because I didn't believe that anybody, you could go 60 over, but I didn't believe anybody in an auto parts store could put the holes in square. You follow me?
Yeah.
So I think you did more damage than you did good. So I left it standard bore and built by the factory, just decked it, made maximum compression, and obviously CC'd the heads. So we went to the first race. We drove the car there. We only had a couple of slicks and some sparks and some valve cover gaskets, and we had nothing. We piled in the car and we drove there. I made the headers, and they came out over the fenders. I had caps on them and pipes that go down in a couple of mufflers. So when we got there, we drove up to the staging lane, and the guy says, Paul, this is your new car? I said, yeah. He said, Paul, there's a big race going on here. I said, yeah, I know. No, real big trucks for all over the country. This is not a good weekend for you. I said, well, I can't race? And he goes, no, you can race. I just wanted to let you know they're all going to be out there. And I go, well, that's okay. So, when you don't know what you don't know, you just,
Right.
You're good. So he let us in, and we paid our entry fee, and we went in there. And on Sunday night, there were 2 cars left, the Ram Chargers and us.
Nice.
bought another car.
Badass. That is badass. Man, that is cool.
So I signed this. We want to sign I'll sign the car if you get it over. You'll take it apart, and I'll be happy to do that.
Cool.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm gonna just record, just probably voice.
Yeah. Okay.
Just voice? You want me? I mean, oh, is this for Rob?
This is more so that I have the information, and then also Rob has the information when he gets done.
You want me to record it, video it?
Sure.
Yeah, I think it'd be good to have.
Are you alright with that?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Well, let's see.
Thank you.
About 6 or 7 years ago, I think, about that time, Bob Rossi, who has been the engineer, developing an engineer for most of the direct connection, and he's responsible for basically most of the stuff in the Bible that you read back in the day. He did all that engine development, figured out all the mix for the intake manifolds, and generally a dyno engineer, engine engineer. And so he called me and said that Nicholes from Shadow was dissolving his shop, and there was a lot of this 305 stuff that was there from the beginning, and he said I really wouldn't like to see it go away, and so could you come up and get it? And I said yeah. So I come up and I actually bought it from Nicholes, and didn't know what I was going to do with it, but when Rossi says do something, I just do it. So I did, and I put it away and under there and haven't touched it or looked at it. I don't know anything about it as far as its condition other than what you see. However, I've had it. It took it all this time, and now it's time to pass it on to someone else that can do better with it and bring it out and shine a light on it. There's a lot of Trans Am, IndyCar programs that have the 305, and these are the 305 engine development package, the remnants of it, whatever it is and however condition it's in, and some of it looks like it's brand new. And now I'm happy that Jeremy's taking it and will make it do good things, and as I said, shine a light on it and get it to the right hands. And there are new programs that are out there. The Trans Am guys should be excited to get some of this stuff, because this is period correct engine pieces for their rides. And that's probably the most prominent one, save the IndyCar. There are a few IndyCar replicas or IndyCar restorations out there, and they would be definitely interested in this to make their car correct.
Correct.
Yeah. And so I'm getting up in my years, and I'm happy to transfer ownership over to Jeremy, because he'll do bigger and better things with it.
Very cool. Very cool.
I'm excited.
Me too.
I'm gonna have to show Troy, see what Troy thinks.
Good idea. They'll probably be happy.
Troy does racing. His name's Troy Hawker, and he has a shop.
Oh, near you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he has a Challenger. It's a 70 Challenger, and he runs a small block with a 4-speed, and he's in the
Oh, Jesus.
Wow.
Well, I guess I'm trying to get the direct connection to build small blocks again, and 440 blocks. I mean, I'm encouraging them to do that because there's a need for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's drying up now.
Yeah, and I've had a lot of the super stock guys that have broken their stuff, and I just hung on to it because I just think it wouldn't be. I mean, have that go out and do something else would be a sin.
Yeah.
So I wanted to keep all this stuff together, and so just look at it very carefully. I don't know, any of the conditions of it. It's other than what I see.
Yeah.
It looks great.
It looks good.
Yeah, and so, but, and some of that stuff should be digitized where you have the capability to make the head again.
Right.
For somebody. So if somebody said, I want a replica head for a 305 Trans Am car for my CUDA or AAR or Trans Am car, TA car, you could produce one.
Well, and my understanding is, from the research I've done, those are the predecessor to the W2 heads.
Yeah, I think
Like
that's
those
correct.
were like
big time special.
yeah. And then they designed the W2s off of those.
Yeah, because see, they have cut tops.
Yep. So, and I noticed they actually have a Chrysler part number. I'm not sure if the W2 heads do. I actually looked for it.
Yeah, but the intakes are real high. See that? Look at they're double bolted. They got the see on the side. So that's its own thing. See how high the intakes are, the exhausts are?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that is an A engine thing. That's its own deal. That's special stuff.
And the 305 is the
There's a crankshaft. Yeah, these are 8-bolt small block crankshafts.
and it was because the TA decided You have to have smaller cubic inches.
Well, that's what they decided. Yeah, the Chevy was and the Ford and so we had to follow suit.
Okay.
We had a 318, so we had to come down and make the so we're going to make a special one.
Yeah.
So then they made the 8-bolt. Kellogg did these cranks. My understanding is.
Okay.
And then something cool, the 305, in 1971, NASCAR changed the rules to if you had an aero car, it had to only run 305 cubic inches.
That's NASCAR.
Yeah, that was NASCAR.
That's Rossi did those things.
Yep. So there was another gentleman named Rossi who owned a Daytona and was the only one that ran in NASCAR, and it ran in the Daytona 500. And from the story that I've read so far, like he was keeping up with all the big blocks, the HEMIs, and everything else. He was doing awesome. And then he got wiped out bad enough that the car wasn't even driving true, and he still went out there and finished in 7th with a 305 in the Daytona.
Wow.
Well, there's somebody that wants a crankshaft for that, and you looks like you have. Well, it's up to you. I'm not going to make that call. I didn't want to sell anything at that point until I figured out where everything was going.
Right.
So, but there are people you could probably take a wish list.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, once he puts that in, you're going to get phone calls.
Yeah.
From all over the world.
Very cool.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, brother. How was everything?
Nearly perfect. Can you call me back in an hour? I'm in the middle of something. Okay, perfect, Jamie. Oh yeah, I want to talk to you. Thanks, Jamie, because I'm coming to SEMA. Bye.
Let me hear you can get with Cameron real quick also and see.
Yeah, let's get out of the sun. So I'm at I'm on the Eagle team. I mean, we're getting ready to go racing and all that. So it's car of the year time. And they got all the cars in Scottsdale. Motor Trend car of the year. Get a call from my Eagle boss. Paul, yeah. We're here with the Lasers and Eagles and Mitsubishi Eclipse. Yeah. We're running for car of the year. Oh, nice. Got good weather? Yeah. So what's wrong? We're getting our ass kicked. So what do you mean? He said, well, they got the same car as us, right? I go, yeah. I said, well, I don't know what they brought, but he said, well, they're just kicking our ass. Oh. Well, Mike, they got a clear car. Well, what are you going to do about that? Well, it depends. What do you mean? Well, can you do something about that? He goes, yeah. Really? I go, yeah. What can you do? I said, where's the cars at? Well, they're here in Phoenix, Scottsdale. Okay. Can you get me their keys to their car? Yeah, they're all parked in the same area, and the keys are wherever they were under the mat or whatever in the Scottsdale Princess parking lot. Okay. Well, just tell me where it's parked, give me the VIN number or the plate number, and I'll fix it. I'll be there tonight. So I took a brand new Eagle Talon, put it in my truck, my race car truck. I drove to Phoenix, and then I got a way over to Scottsdale. Took a cab over there, and I snuck in, got the car, found the keys, drove it out, and I was at a gas station. I told the guy I want to pay him $500 or whatever it was. I want to use his hoist. So I went in and I took out the ECU. I took out their camshafts. I took out the what else did I take out? The brakes. I can't remember. Oh, fuel controller and the injectors. I took them all off of my car, the brand new one. I put it on their car. So anything that I thought would give it performance, so I defanged it. Put it all back, got it running, drove it back there, parked it, got a cab, came back home. My car, the parts were up. I had all these parts. I just went home. Next day, guess what? The cars are all even. I said, well, that's good for me. And he goes, why? I said, now I got some parts that no one else has got from Japan. True story.
It's like espionage shit.
Did you ever find out?
No.
They will now.
No, I
We've
guess.
never ever forgot about this, Paul. Now that we know it was you.
We wondered.
Yeah. Oh shit. Comedy. Okay.
It's the first race of the season for the Eagle Talon. I had already been running Dodges, and it's in mid-Ohio, right away, you know, a stone's throw from Detroit where all the bosses are. So all the Eagle guys are going to come down to mid-Ohio, and they're going to watch Paul Rossi run their Eagle Talon, see how it does. Well, Eagle Talons were the last ones to be built at Diamond Star, which is in Normal, Illinois. That's a conglomerate between Chrysler and Mitsubishi.
Okay.
They had the plant there in Normal, Illinois. Well, they did Plymouth Laser and they did the Eclipse, and the Talon was the high trim level, and it came last. So I was kind of last on the list to get my parts.
Okay.
So I had a car sitting there, and it wasn't painted, and it just came, and I was getting the Eagle front and back end to put on the rubber ducky stuff. And so my trucks had all left with the Dodges, and the one Eagle Talon was going to be picked up by a truck solo and taken right to the track. So I got the car finished, put it on the truck, got on an airplane, went to Mid-Ohio. I'm at Mid-Ohio running the race, and all of a sudden I get a call from the truck driver, Horseless Carriage or whoever it was a good reputable company. He said, I broke the transmission in my 18-wheeler and I'm stuck in St. Louis. I said, oh wow. I said, when are you going to get it fixed? He said, parts aren't coming in till Monday. I said, that won't do me any good. I need the car that's on your truck here as fast as I can get it. I said, what are you going to be doing? He said, I'm going to be sitting in a motel. How would you like to make some money? What would you like me to do? I want you to unload the car and drive it to Mid-Ohio. Well, I don't have plates and stuff in it. What about the other cars on there? Any of them have plates? He goes, yeah. Well, be creative. I'll give you $1,000. I'll figure it out. So he got in the car and drove it to the racetrack.
That's awesome.
And when it got there, we were too late to qualify.
Oh shit.
So we had to start in the back. So meantime, it had to be painted. I took it out, I had paint with me and all that in the big truck and compressor. I went out at the end of the track, there's a little chicken coop thing down there. I went down there and I painted the damn car, masked it all off, came back, put the decals on it, got it all ready, and we started the race, and it was raining, and we started dead last. Joe Vardy and Terry Irwood, I think, were driving the car. We started at the very back of the field. And because it was raining, the Eagle Talon had wipers, defrosters, all the shit that worked. And because of that, I think we could see where we were going, and the car was faster than stink. And we went from the back to the front. I just love it because your wits are there. You got to come in. Everybody's got problems. You got to change the brakes when they're red hot, right? When they come in a 24-hour race with a turbo engine, you open the hood, the exhaust manifold is glowing red. Glowing red, just like you could come out of a forge. And you look at it, it's all glowing, middle of the night. Just go, my God, this is wonderful. I really had some good times. This is in Watkins Glen. I had 2 Chrysler engineers with me, and high-up engineers, big guys. And because they like road racing, and you know, I'm the factory team, and it always goes well if you throw them in a car and give them a car to race, and the rest of the year they'll feed you parts or whatever you need. It just makes your life better. You know? So you do something for them, they do something for you, it's all good. So they're in the car, and all of a sudden, Jack Rumal, the head engineer, said, hey, the temperature gauge is following the tack. I said, oh, okay. So that means the head gasket's gone. So, okay. Give me a couple cool down laps and come on in, I got a plan. He said, all right. So he did a couple cool down laps, we got all ready, came in. Guys opened the hood, I said, okay, we're gonna try this new strategy, which was jack up the head, snatch the gasket out, put it in, loosen the belt, put it back, put the head back on. We were able to change the head gasket in 12 minutes.
Holy shit.
And so Jack got out, took his helmet off and all that stuff, and I go, Jack. I'm yelling, and he goes, what? I said, get in the car. And he goes, what about the head gasket? And I said, it changed it. He goes, bullshit. I go, what? Gets in the car, goes, finishes the race, comes back out. I don't know how you did that because we got thousands and thousands of warranty things. So I wrote a whole plan how they could change the head gasket that way. Come in and beat the time, right?
Yeah.
Because they were spending hundreds of thousands of dollars doing this Goitze. It had German gaskets, Goitze gaskets from Germany. Still wouldn't hold because you had cast iron black, wasn't enough clamping bolts. It's fucked up. No problems like that with the Talon.
Wow.
Talon was just bad to the bone. Fast.
That's really cool. So you're recreating the Talon.
Yeah. I got one there, sitting next to the, I picked one up in Texas last year. So yeah, I'm gonna go back to the.
Okay.
So about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I saw this ad for a motorhome. Excuse me, for a motorhome for sale, and it said mechanic special. I said, gee, that's me. Maybe I'm looking for a motorhome.
Yeah.
In case I get in the street, I don't want to have a shopping cart. Maybe I'll have a motorhome.
Right.
So things get really bad, so it's a good backup position. So anyway, I was looking for a motorhome. So I called the guy up and he goes, I said, what happened? He said, well, I bought this motorhome. It's a Ford Travel. I said, it's a very good brand. I had one before. That's why I called you. He said, but it's got some, I said, what's wrong with it? He said, well, I bought it and on my way to my first trip, it started making a knocking noise and I kept driving it and finally seized up and I had to have it towed in. I was headed to the desert.
Oh, crap.
Oh, gee. So it's not running at all? He goes, no. And I said, where is it? He said, it's in somewhere out in the desert. I'll think of it in a minute. But it was way the heck out there.
Klamath, Sakatoo Wells.
Like Klamath, yeah.
Okay.
So kind of like that, yes.
Okay.
Westmoreland.
Westmoreland, yeah. All right.
Westmoreland is exactly where it was. I said, where's Westmoreland? He says, it's not the end of the world, but you can see it from there. I said, oh, well, that's pretty far. And he wanted like 10 or 12,000 for it. I said, nah, I don't think so. If it has to be towed, it would cost a lot to do that. He said, oh yeah. I said, where's it now? It's in the storage. Okay. So I hung up and that was that. Guy calls me back 2 weeks later. He said, hey, Paul. He goes, yeah. You called me on my motorhome. Oh yeah, that's right. You got the one way out in the desert. He goes, yeah. He said, well, you're the only guy that ever called. I said, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. He said, is there any way I could get you interested in buying? I go, I don't think so. It's too far. And he said, well, I'll lower the price to $5,000.
Holy crap.
I go, wow. I said, well, a couple thousand to bring in, that's still $7,000. You know what? And if the motor's dead in the motorhome, that's a lot of work. What kind of engines it's got? He said a Chevy. That's even worse. So I decided to pass. So about 3 weeks later, called. He said, Paul, my wife's on my case. I bought this thing. It's in a storage area. The storage has cost me $100 a month. He said, I'll make you a deal. I'll send you the title and all the stuff with it and the keys. You go out there. If you like it, you can take it and pay me $500 whenever. But get it out of the storage thing. And if you don't, just leave the paperwork in the motorhome and thank you very much. So I went there, drove to Westmoreland. It's not the end of the world, but it took forever to get there.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know if I was ever going to find my way back. So I got there and the motorhome was full of dust in the desert, but I opened the door and it was gorgeous. Oh my God, it's a beautiful motorhome. I'm so fucked. I got to buy it. So I told the guy, all right, I'll take it. So I went around, I found somebody to take it for $1,500 cash, and he towed it all the way back to my house. I have it there. And so I need a motor for this thing. So I'm looking in Craigslist, and I find Chevy engine. It's got a carburetor. It's like an 87. So I want the last carbureted Chevy big block, 454. So I find this guy. He said he's got one. He's going to put it in his truck, and he's in Paso Robles or someplace like that. and Lompoc. And I said, how much you want for the engine? He said, I got it advertised for $900. He said, it's a good engine. He said, my buddy owns a wrecking yard. I'm a trucker. And he said, I was going to put it in my truck, but I sold the truck. He said, I'll sell you the engine for $750. I said, well, that sounds fair. He said, it runs, and it runs good. I said, okay, well, I'm going to take it apart anyway. So I thought I'd rebuild it, you know. So when you take it out, you got it right there, you can switch everything. If you take the other engine out, rebuild it, by the time you find the parts, it'll take you forever.
Right.
So if you could just swap them right there, it goes much faster.
You don't lose anything either.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So he goes, okay. I said, now listen, I'm going out of town. I said, so I won't be back for like 2 weeks. I said, so, and if you sell the engine, I understand, but I'd like you to do me a favor. Just tell me so I can still keep looking for it, because while I'm there, while I'm on my trip, I can look for a Chevy. You can get Chevy engines at a bank, you know. So he goes, okay. He said, so your number? And I gave my number, and I said, my name is Paul. And then I said, Rossi, and he goes, and the phone went dead. He goes, Paul Rossi? Are you the race car guy? I go, well, in my former life, you're shitting me. I go, you know, I'm talking to Paul Rossi, the Mopar guy. I go, yeah. He says, you're Paul Rossi? And I go, yeah. I mean, but that's a long time ago. I mean, I'm an old man now. I said, I'm nothing. He goes, well, we still talk about you. And I go, we thought you were dead. I said, where the hell did you get that idea? He said, well, it's on the internet. I said, well, you can't believe everything on the internet because I ain't dead. So he said, are you going to pick up this engine yourself? No, I'm going to send my valet. Yes, I'm going to pick it up myself when I get back. And he goes, it's $500. You mean for the engine? He goes, yeah. I said, we don't have to do that. He goes, no, you don't understand. I go, what? I'm going to tell everybody I know I sold Paul Rossi a big block Chevy. Okay, fine. So fast forward, I get ready to go. I call him up, and he said, oh, can you stop at the Denny's? We're going to have lunch before we go in. Of course. So I go in there, and there's 3 other guys in there with them. And they got baggies, and they got all my articles and shit in them. They wanted me to sign them. And I'm like, I'm busted up. Holy shit. Yeah, man. So I signed his stuff, and I go, thanks a lot, man. The guy's really nice. So I've got his license plate, and I had him sign it. It's on the back of my car. So he signed it, Tom. So I get home, and I tell my friend that I want to put up a website that I'm not dead. I don't know anything about websites. I got a 5G phone and a 1G mind. I don't know shit.
Right.
So he puts up this website, and that's where the model guy got a hold of me. And that whole thing started basically from that little Chevy engine thing.
Wow. That is wild.
And then the models are getting done. A guy calls me up and says, Rossi, it's yeah. You got this Challenger. Would you like it? And I go, what do you mean? He said, well, we have a show. I said, if you want the thing, if you just pay for the freight, I'll give it to you. Yeah, I guess I can't turn that down. I didn't have I wanted to do it, but I didn't have any motivation. So I got it. So I had it. And then the guy called me for the models. And then I said, I ought to think about building this thing because he's going to build these models. That would be a nice sales aid for him. Meantime, Rick Schutz calls me from National NHRA. He said, he's a photographer there for the last 20 years. He said, hey, Chrysler's calling for a lot of your pictures. I said, well, let's give them to him. He goes, yeah, I do. He said, but they're calling for a lot of them. And they keep calling. He said, you better call this guy. Okay, so he gives me the guy's number. And I call him, and he goes, you're Paul Rossi? He goes, yeah. Yeah, you're the last direct connection car. We're going back to direct connection. Well, your Mopar Performance, what happened to that? We don't want that anymore. We want to go back, and you're the last direct connection car. You're on the cover of the Bible. And you did the clinics and all that. That's in the 70s. He goes, yep. In 80s. Early 80s. I said, okay. So I met him at SEMA 2 years ago. I brought my books and all that stuff. He goes, yeah. Where's this car now? I said, well, I'm building it. He said, well, we want to use it once you get it built. So that's how this happened.
Wow. How long did it take to build the car? Well, you said 2022, so a year?
No.
Engines are good for something.
No, that car got built from February, and we rolled it, and we unveiled it, and got it out of there June 1st or something. I painted it in 8 days.
No shit.
106-degree weather. I tried to get it painted, and Mandela said, no one will paint the thing. It's too hot.
Yeah.
I said, well, I'll paint it. I gotta have this car. They're gonna unveil it on the stage at the Chrysler Nationals. It's got to be done. So I brought it home. I said, I'll paint the fucking thing. So, and they're all going, sure you are. You're fucking 80 years old. You're gonna paint this in this way. So call 911. here's an accident. Film at 11. So, about 3 days into this thing, it's fucking hot, and I'm sanding it, and there's no body work done. I'm doing all the body work. And so I gotta have some help. I go, if I don't make the event in Carlisle and be on stage there, my name is dog shit. So I call the guy that's a carpenter. He knows nothing about bodies. I need two hands. Can you sand? You move this thing. I'll show you what to do. I got him and a magazine guy that wasn't busy. I paid him $25 an hour, and they worked for 4 days, and I worked already for 3. And by the time we got the whole car done, got all the body work done in 6.5 days. The 7th day, I painted the whole car. I painted the stripe orange. I said, we got a carpenter's laser to put the lines down the front. And we masked it all off, the whole car, and painted the orange. The orange went on the hood, and on the roof, on the trunk, on the back. 2 spoilers were painted orange. And then we masked everything off, and we shot everything white. I got that all done about 7:30 at night. And then this is Sunday night. And I started clearing the car. I don't know how God painted the car. I didn't paint the car. I don't know. I was doing this.
Yeah.
Painting this car. And so I think with the last can, one of my guys said, hey, Bev, close the top on it. Oh, yeah. Okay, geez. Finished it at 11:30. Let it dry for an hour. Pushed it on the trailer at 12:30. 4 o'clock in the morning, had to be at a upholstery shop in Rancho Cucamonga. And they put the interior in it. Then it went to Tony's again, and they put the rest of the stuff in, put the wheels on it and all that stuff. And then it had to go to the wrapper who wrapped it. I got it there Friday night, and he was promised to me Sunday, and we had to leave and go straight 3,500 miles to Carlisle. By the time he got done with the overtime and all that stuff, he got it done Monday at 12 o'clock. We left for Carlisle with a brand new trailer, the new car in it, and off we went. We got the middle of Palm Desert. It was 116 degrees, and the tire blew out on the trailer. We had no spare, except the tire that I threw in the back because I realized he didn't have a spire. So I took the one off my car hauler and threw it in the back of the pickup truck, my pickup truck. And that's what we used, and God helped me, it fit on there, wrong size. And we went 50 miles an hour, and we got to a point where it was Oklahoma City, and I said, we're not going to make it. Because you want to go to Chicago, pick up your truck and the rest of the cars, and then I got to get to Carlisle. I got to go straight to Carlisle. I have to dump you out here. You have to get home yourself. So I dumped him out in Chicago, in St. Louis. He got a train or something and took him to Chicago. I went straight to Carlisle, and we went straight through. We didn't get any sleep. We drove straight through. I tried to sleep in a car. If you ever try to sleep in a truck or car while it's going, you're not sleeping.
Yeah, you're more awake on the passenger side.
Yeah, it's just fucked you up.
Yeah.
And I was totally fucked up. Somehow I got there at 3 o'clock in the morning, Wednesday morning. The show opens on Thursday. I get a call at I get to my room at 4 o'clock. I get a call from Jeff Stuckard, said, we're taking pictures of your car. Where is it? I said, it's at the hotel. I go, oh my God, dude. So we got it there. The car wasn't ready. The car didn't have any headlights in it. And so Stuckard and his guys and everybody, and I said, we need parts. He said, this is the biggest parts place in the world. We can find anything here. Cool. So we bought parts and stuff and finished the car right there. We photographed it and we covered it up with I had to buy a car cover, put it up, we covered it up, and we unveiled it at Carlisle.
Wow. Holy
First
crap.
time that car had been seen in North America in 45 years.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's
Crazy. But we did it. Okay, last story. 60s, maybe early 70s, has a beautiful Corvette. I'm a Corvette guy. I had a 65, the first big one. I love that car. And so he's got a Nassau Blue 65 Fuelie. Well, the Fuelie stopped in 65 3/4 of the way through the year to make room for the first big block in a Corvette. So they stopped the 375 Fuelie 327 and came up with the 396 425 horse big block. And of course it was the percentage of weight on the front, it was terrible, but God was that fucking fast. I loved it. So I'm chatting with this guy. He's got a Nassau Blue car, my car was blue, and we're talking. I said, oh, I gotta go, you know, whatever, they had some deal that with Mopar Action, I had to go up on stage or something. I said, listen, my name is Paul Rossi, nice talking to you. He goes, is that your car? I go, yeah. Oh my God. I go, what? We used to follow that car to India and everything. Oh, thanks a lot. This is your car? And I go, yeah. So, I mean, the guy's like 55 years, so we've been friends ever since. We talk all the time. He goes to shows. He says, oh my God, that car is unbelievable. See, that was pretty interesting, wasn't it? I mean, it was the only car back then, no trans brakes, no nothing. All the fucking front wheels all the way through first gear. Big time. I mean, not just this little, fucking up in the air and off. 2-barrel. Car is famous.
Yeah.
And
How many?
I'm a little famous because I happened to be driving it at the time.
Yeah. How many times have people walked up to you and just said, like, I remember seeing that car at the track?
Oh, I'll tell you what. I'm talking to one of the head guys at Trick Flow.
Okay.
Right? They got a big display there, and I'm talking to him. I'm going to do some articles and stuff. I want to work with some of your parts. And the guy walks up to me and says, Paul, oh my God. He said, I'm glad to see you here at the Mo Party. He said, I love that car. I followed you all these years. And he walked away. I said, thank you and everything. I said, I didn't put him up to that. Because I know. He said, I know you are. He said, so Trick Flow sent me this whole big package, heads, manifold, everything.
Wow.
So I'm doing a package with them. In fact, it was in the boxes right in front of you.
Yeah.
Oh,
It came in
wow.
3 days. He said, I'm sending you a kit. I said, what is it? You'll see. So yeah, because I'm going to do a State of the Union for the 440 like I did in the past. You follow me? So I laid all that out. Here's what you do. And they still do. I mean, that's a common practice. They actually make pistons on the shelf for sticking a 440 and a 400. You can buy that right today.
Yeah.
So do you need any blocks, 440 or 400?
No, I don't think so. I needed a 400, but a guy gave me one. He said, Paul, I got a really nice 400 block, North Star or whatever the fuck it's called. And I said, yeah, fine. And I'm okay, but thank you. Right now, I'm like, okay. So I'm going to do a short stack. That's what I always call it, 440, and then, you know, long blocks. And I want to be able to show people like some of the differences that from the things that I think are good. I like the Trick Flow thing where you can just buy this kit and you go take a 440 motorhome motor you buy for $500 and stick this package on and get 650 horse.
Yeah.
What?
Wow.
How could it be? I mean, it's just simple Simon shit.
Yeah.
Maybe if I found a good motorhome low time motor. That's the engines I like. I don't get to do the early ones. I've always used, because when I got my program in 1976, I got brand new blocks.
Right.
But I got a dozen of them, so I could pick it. And I got like 50 heads. So we float them. And the guys that float them still tell me, you son of a bitch, we had to float those heads at Mullen to try to find 2 CFM or something. Because that's all you had back then.
Yeah.
We didn't cheat all that shit, you know. We did a good valve job and stuff, but you know, you tried to find the good stuff. And that's what you did then. Now they just acid dip and pour them, and they get 2 cans of NHRA no seat, spray it on there and run them through there. Nobody does any tech anymore. They're cheating. The worst, most flagrant class in NHR racing is stock today. It's worse than Top Fuel. Top Fuel is an honest class. Stock is not. Stock is Houdini.
It's a cheater's game, huh?
It's like stock cars, you know, NASCAR.
Yeah.
How many V8 Camrys do you see driving around on the street?
Well, but see, I have a bone to pick with that because if you, like, just for instance, you're 20 years old, you want to go racing, and let's just say you want to go drag racing.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. Because NHRA right now, you got to buy a $20,000 set of heads to compete because they're totally flagrant.
Yeah.
And that's not supposed to. Go in super stock, for Christ's sake, or go in comp. Don't try to pretend it's a stock car, because you just raise the bar and the price of admission, and you can't get families in racing. I want families back in racing. I love drag racing. I love hanging around with the guys. I loved it. Now, fucking double H HEMI car, that class is so refined and so expensive, you can only make 21. They can't even run the eliminator. I don't get to watch the A cars running the rest of the super stock cars down for the eliminator because the cars won't make it, so they don't run. I wouldn't let them in the class if they wouldn't run. I wouldn't let them run. You can't run the eliminator, get the fuck out of here. But it's not their NHRA's fault or the people's, I mean the racers' fault. It's the people who let this thing get away. And they just kept doing it because the engine builders would keep up in the ante, and they kept rubber stamping it. And that just put a lot of people out of the game. I mean, if you're there and you're competing and you're like in top 5 cars or top 10 cars, you're having a good time, and all of a sudden it's got another $50,000 to compete this year, you're going, what? That isn't right.
Well, that was
just not fucking right.
That's what's fun about duct tape. Is there's
Yeah.
there
Should be more of that kind of thing.
$5,000 cars there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very bottom up. Like,
Yeah,
you could be a regular
I'm not
guy.
trying to say that you got to get down to duct tape. I'm trying to say there should be a place.
There's got to be an affordable.
Exactly. There's got to be something here that's better than what we got. You know, I don't know. I'm not the guy that engineers all this stuff or whatever. But it's going to have to be coming from the racer guys that are involved in it and do what makes sense to them. And I don't want to put anybody out of the game. If you spend $100,000 for your engine and you want to run my class, I'll let you run, but you're going to be 400 pounds heavy. And when you decide next time you rebuild that son of a bitch, I can take 400 pounds out and save 50 grand, you might want to come my way. Right?
Put a 400-pound ballast
Yeah.
in the car.
Yeah. And then I'd let the other guys, I mean, that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
You got to give the guys that uncut heads and uncut manifold, give those guys a weight break. Whether it's add to the other guys or take it off these, you got to fix it so they're even. And then pretty soon, the guy's going to go, well, you want to get a new $100,000 engine, or you can run the same thing, take the weight out, and build it for 30.
Right.
I think I'll go this way. And now, instead of having 6 cars that are competitive, you got 30. Now you got a hell of a race on your hands.
Yeah.
And more fun. And you could go more rounds.
Yeah.
As soon as they allowed porting of the cylinder heads in Superstock, that changed the whole unintended consequences of the sport. Now, my manifold isn't any good anymore because it's too far upstairs. Mine's out scout. It's finished at 6,000. And you've got to build hand-built manifolds for $4,000 and $5,000 and $6,000, fabricated ones, because you've got the engine speed way up, and now you got to have valve springs that cost I don't know what, because you're running engine speeds, and the more engine speed, the more power you make, and the bigger you make the heads. So we got CCs on the heads. Oh yeah, so they got a glass. For instance, think of this. They have CC limits on the port size that you can make the size of the port. So let's say it's 200 cc's, okay? We're gonna have a whole port that at the top of it when you pour it holds 200 cc's. We all there?
Okay.
Okay. Now, so if we want to make the head bigger, we got to make the port shorter, right? So now we mill more off the intake side, so we get back to 200. So now we mill so much off the intake port, we've lost the valve cover screws. And now the intake manifold is now moving in under the valve cover. So that we can port the head and still get 200 cc's. Oh, we're fucking geniuses, aren't we? Should have never let them do that. Now you've got big machine monstrosities so that they check. I don't know what you're... I can't get behind any of that, guys.
Yeah.
It was at the Superstock Nationals. I said, Dave, I gotta change my car. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, well, man, it's picking the wheels up. It's hard to cut a light. He said, if you change that car, you and I are going to go round and round. I go, what do you mean? He says, I know you don't know this. When you go to that fucking starting line, he said, everybody runs to the gate, to the you know, the rails.
The front, yeah.
He said, no car does what that car does. Because back then, no trans brakes, no, I mean, cars with the wheelies and stuff, nothing like that. That car was, it was just all the way. And you know what?
Sky.
Honest to God, guys, it never, ever let me down. I never crashed the oil pan, ever.
Really?
Ever, never.
Well, you look and you'll see a lot of like publicity photos from back then, and it's at launch. It's either with the tires smoking or it's with the front end up in the air. Yeah.
But we had to heat the tires so violently that what we did is we heated the tires up, got the tires spinning as fast as we could, and I would rush to the starting line with the hot tires, right? And there's rubber on the track, and I would turn the first bulb on right away. And then I'd sit there and let the tire vulcanize to the track. It would actually glue itself there. And then I would just go in a little bit and bump that next light on, and then when I left, it just off it went.
Yeah.
Because that first little bit, it had to pick that up. It had to catch that. And so it would kick the wheels up out of the lights. So I would stage a little bit crooked. And so and I finally had a conversation with Buster. He said, why are you doing that? And I said, I need the edge on the light because the fucking wheels come up. He goes, okay, don't push it. You know, so that was a big thing. When I got up the starting line, I was always trying to get one wheel in front of the other one to, you know, so I got a little edge. I couldn't, so it was just hard to drive. So he told me, don't you touch that car. So I did it. And you just had to do what it gave you, you know. But it was a show car. It really, really was.
So you've actually had the opportunity, you've raced against like Dick Landy and Sox Martin.
Yeah.
All of those.
Yeah. Well, the first time I ran against Sox and Martin was in Michigan. So I'm home. Well, remember I told you the first day I went, there was Ram Chargers and me running up? Okay. I went back to the dealer. He was beside himself. He said, I want you to bring your car down here. Here's the keys to the dealership. I want you to work on your car down here. I want people to see your race car at my dealership.
That's freaking cool.
What about the mechanics? He goes, don't worry about them. Just don't touch your tools. I don't need your tools. And he said, okay. And so I'm down there on Saturdays. Me and my boys meet down there. We're at the dealership having a great time. Got a hoist. Holy shit, man, I'm in heaven.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a fucking young kid, right?
Hell yeah.
And so,
kid in a candy store.
Absolutely. So, on the radio at Not Detroit Dragway, International Raceway Park, Ronnie Sox is there. Ronnie Sox going to be there this weekend. Racing all on-comers. You're going to 2 out of 3. Come and race Ronnie Sox. I looked at him and I go, want to go? And I go, hell yeah. I said, okay, let's go race Ronnie Sox. And so, we get the car, and we put it on my race car truck, and it was a C6 56 Ford, and we had ramps on it, and we put the car on the back of it. I bought the thing for 85 bucks, and my race car truck. So we head off to International Raceway Park. It's the other side of Detroit. So there's 3 of us in the truck, and we're on the freeway. It's a Sunday, and a pack of girls come up in a convertible. I'm in the back. Somebody else is driving. And they're so excited to see these girls. They're laughing and all that shit. He kicks the shifter up into neutral, and the truck engine revs high and blows the water pump off the truck, the fan, not the water pump, fan, and it goes to the radiator, takes out the radiator, water's all over the place. Go, come on, guys, Jesus. So we pull off the side of the road. We're not there. And so I got to finish my story. So I said, okay, we'll take the radiator out of the race car, put it in the truck, wire it in, take the water, so we saved it, put it in, we got to the race car, we got to the racetrack. We go over there, take the radiator out of the truck, put it in the race car, fill it up with water, and meantime, Ronnie Sox is making a run, and he's got a Mercury. He's got a 427 tunnel port Mercury, dual quads. And so he's running in Superstock. It's like the Fairlane, but that was the Mercury one. So he ran for Mercury that year, 64. And so we got a 64 HEMI. And this is a fast motor scratcher. So we get over there, and he's out there running, and I go down and I make the first pass, and I'm 2.5 miles an hour, maybe 3 miles an hour faster, and I'm at least 900s quicker. And I come back around and I get the time slip, and I'm seeing what he's doing. He said, Paul, what do you want to do? And I said, let's polish the car. So we sat out there and got the wax out, and we're polishing the car. He's over there coming back, and he's making runs. He's got rosin on the ground. He's driving, man. That guy can fucking drive. It sounds like music, but he couldn't come near that fucking time. So it's about time we're going to race. Okay, let's go. And Buddy Martin comes up to me and he says, oh, hey, Paul. I said, yeah. He said, we're broke. Yeah, me too, but I'm going to fix that after I beat you. And he says, no, we're broke. You mean like, oh, come on. You called everybody out and here we are. Nah, we're broke. And I said, I don't believe that. So I said to the promoter, his name was John Bloom. I said, John, I'm going to make 3 passes. It's okay. He's broke. I'm going to make 3 passes for the audience because that's what they came here for. And I did, and they were all right on top of each other and fast as shit. And he paid me, and that's my Rodney Sock story. And I have no respect for a guy that calls you out and then won't come out and take his beating. That doesn't mean I would have beat him, but he didn't even come to the gate. So that was chicken shit. Next year, he's in a Plymouth. And I'm in a Mercury.
That is so freaking cool.
Just put it over here or something.
You're gonna do the 440.
What's that?
You're gonna do a 440 instead of the 340.
This isn't a 340. This is a 440.
The original one didn't you do a 340? You said it was original.
Well, the original car was a 340 TA car.
Okay.
They gave me that to build the Superstock 440 on to start with, which had the spoiler and the hood.
Okay.
And so I want you to look at this hood, how nice this hood is.
Yeah.
Look at that hood.
So this is something I really like. I mentioned it when I seen it the first time.
Yeah,
Your little
yeah, the Rossi trays.
tool
Yeah,
trays.
yep. I got so tired of over the years dropping my wrenches and my feeler gauges, and I wanted them to make them longer and put holes in them so I could read my spark plugs, because that's what we did back then.
Yeah.
You follow me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So anyway, yeah. So this one I've got to do, what's next on it is I'm going to take it out, go through everything. It doesn't have any time on it. It's never made a pass. And just see how everything's getting along. And I'm going to do jet coat that got some porcelain deal with the headers. I got chrome stacks at the end, and I'm going to keep that, but I want to do something with for show with the exhaust headers. And then I want to put the right cool can on it, like we talked about, the one with little cap. I painted this to look like cork in the top, kind of corny, but that's what I did. And all that plastic filter stuff, that's what we ran back in the day. So, and this is an A engine one, and I need a B engine one because the fucking hose is on the wrong spot down there.
Yeah.
And I was in a hurry, and I don't know. Anyway, you had to do what you got to do, right?
Right.
Yep.
To get things done. So everything else is repop. The bumper that I gave you was on here until like I did the SEMA show last year, and I put this repop on it, which is a little bit nicer. Not super, but it's nice enough. And this was painted right where that station wagon is, where we were. I painted it there. Yeah. We did the orange first, and kept this separate. All the valences, the hood and the trunk were apart, were somewhere else. And I did the hood, or the roof rather, and the trunk, spoiler, hood, valences. And that was that. And one of the things I lucked out in is this company called Bogart. And they make some bitchin' lightweight wheels, and they look just like the old stuff.
Yeah.
Fantastic stuff. And this is Mr. Mopar's out of Phoenix is the one who did it. They comped me the hood and a bunch of parts to help me fix it. So, not so bad.
No, it's awesome.
No spray booth, you know, so it's not perfect. And I'm not perfect either.
Were race cars back in the day perfect?
No.
So,
And by the way, when I brought this back to Mondello, he was stunned. He said, "You did it." And I go, "Well, yeah." And he said, "Listen, Paul, if we could have found somebody, which we couldn't, to paint that car, it would have cost you $40,000.
Holy crap.
And they would have never done it in 8 days.
yeah.
Yeah.
And let alone 106-degree weather, no spray booth.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it's not perfect, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
And to the average person, they're just happy to see it.
Well,
And this car has its own legacy.
yeah.
And it's as true as I can make it to the original, which is now chopped and chapped and channeled and who knows what they've done to it. So this is all back to 1976, and I'm going to make an argument that this is probably the world's most famous Challenger, overall, worldwide. You know,
Probably. I would say.
I can make an argument for that. So, beginning Challenger, now the 2023 is going to look just like this, except it's going to have a 440 6-barrel Gen 3 HEMI.
That's gonna be so.
So we'll do that for starters, and then we'll start running packages through it, use it as a test bed for TC. Now, the real hood was pushed down more here because this was up. See how flat this is? The other one was up this high because it did this.
Yeah. So you made more space to clear the
and this
carburetors.
is bigger, but you know, when you're, right now, I just have to get it to where, yeah.
That's awesome.
Still got a Dana 60, 2 super stock springs and a snubber. True to form, man.
Hell yeah.
That is so cool.
Well, one day you might be the taker of it.
That would be awesome.
I will,
That would be.
I will hand it over to somebody somewhere because I'm going to be 82 in December. So, you know, I'm going to do my, this is the last car I'm going to build the 2024. And I'll probably have them as bookends, first one, last one,
Yeah.
painted the same. You follow me?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that would be. Man, it's a neat car.
But
And the
it's,
history.
it's, when it starts up, it's got the 40-year-old camshaft in it. I mean, it's just the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
906 heads are on it.
So it was the heads that I dropped off up there at the machine shop for you. Are they?
You're making me an extra head,
Okay.
a spare.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and I found I had a pretty nice set, so I just dropped off both.
Oh,
So,
nice, yeah. Yeah, I just want, you gotta have a spare, you
Yeah.
know, just
Yeah.
because they're getting harder to find. I got them and people have them and blah, but you know, so he's CNC'd them, run them on the machine. He puts them on there, flips a switch and goes to sleep and wakes up and they're all done.
Yeah.
Whatever they do. I mean, I guess he's got $1 million in that porting or that machining system he's got.
Yeah.
So I think that that's a good place to maybe have him look at those heads or someplace like it,
Yeah.
you know, have him look at it and he might be able to digitize it, which means figure out where all the numbers are and be able to plug that in his machine and make it another one.
Okay. Yeah, I'll talk to him. He asked me if I had any extra 440 blocks, and I was like, well, how many do you need? So, Johnny's seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want a motorhome one that's got all the shit in it, you know. I mean, it doesn't have to have the shit's cast crank and all that, but one that's got low time on it, that's been, when you undo the plug, it's got green shit coming out. Because the inside, they can rust out from the inside of the cylinders.
Yeah.
You follow me? So a lot of times I've had to turn blocks away, people have given me, because you take the freeze plug out and it's been rotten in there for 40 years. You know it's eating on that cylinder wall casting from the other side. So you can't do that because you gotta, even though it looks like it's got material there when you sonic check it, you can have pinholes and all that. But the motorhome ones, man, I've just had good luck with them, and I believe they're actually a little heavier than the regular old-fashioned ones, or not old-fashioned, older ones. So I've used motorhome blocks for all my engines.
Oh, that's what this one is.
That's what yeah, 100%. Yeah. Pay $250 for the whole engine and transmission.
Yeah.
But I've had it for 10 years. You know, people didn't, you know, there's stuff that are either they're going to throw it away or they're going to save it, or you know what. I bought it before I even knew I was going to do this car.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want it to go to junk, because when I looked at it, it had green antifreeze in it. Oh, and the other thing is printed gaskets. When you pull the head off, if it's got a steel shim printed gasket, we call it, which you can see the imprint on the head, that's the one.
Really?
That means nobody's fucked with it, because they haven't used printed gaskets for 30 years. They all use the Permatorques and all that shit. So somebody's been in there machining something. I like virgin stuff.
Yeah.
That nobody's moved anything around.
Yeah.
It's not bored over 60 or 30 or who knows what. When you pull a head off, if it's got that tin gasket in the head,
It's good.
that's a great green flag that that's a good piece. And you've got good antifreeze in it, that's as good a block as I need.
Right.
Not so bad, huh? Okay, so let's cover it up. And the next place this will be shown is probably I'll be at the World Finals, because looks like the direct connection guys, power brokers, are leading both Top Fuel and Funny Car at the moment, and they're going to maybe have a big, you know, celebration there, and I'll be part of that if they do.
You're gonna have this at Maxwell in Vegas.
You mean for the Mopars at the Strip?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. At a painter show?
Yep.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. And he's a good guy, man. That guy's
Yeah.
one hell of a promoter. I like him a lot.
We've been talking about, I've been trying to help him on promoting it with my YouTube channel and everything.
Oh, wow.
So,
Phil Painter and Jill, they're just great people. They came to me at SEMA and said, "Can we get your car there?" And I go, "Of course." And they said, "What do you want?" There's a couple rooms. Great. I don't want anything. Just let's just have some fun.
and then for
So about the fourth round, after I put Mullins on the trailer, he had never been beat all year with his wagon from from Louisiana. It was a Pontiac, never been beat. And I thought I was going to get beat too, but nope, I beat him.
Nice.
God bless America. Superstition and ignorance triumphs over skill and technology. And I put him on a trailer. Anyway, there I was in the final, and he said, "What's going on here?" And I said, "Well, I have a butterfly inside the intake manifold." "Well, you can't do that." And I said, "Bill," he said, "Yeah. In the rules it said intakes are free." Oh yeah, he got me on that one. So go ahead. Continue.
That was in the Tomoram 6-pack, or was that?
No. That was a HEMI.
Oh, okay.
No, that was the fastest HEMI. That was the fastest super stock car in America then. No car did that in 1975. None. Zero. And that's 2 super stock springs and a snubber.
Wow.
No traction bars, no magic, no nothing. But the track was prepped because it's a World Finals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you go out there and your shoes stuck to the track, right?
Yeah.
And so all I had to do was make more torque, and that absolutely made more torque. So much torque it broke the 8-pillar.
Wow.
And the car broke like that.
Oh shit.
Because little point of interest, we weren't allowed to tie the cages to the cars. They had to be in and separate. And if you tied the cage to the car, you were disqualified.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So when I was in teardown, there was 2 cars, and that car was total. I mean, this was a big teardown. That's when they did that shit then. And so I told Farmer Dispute, the head of tech, I said, "Bill, come here a minute." And I put my shoulder on the drip rail, and I lifted it up, and the top went about 4 inches over the windshield, and he goes, "Holy shit." I said, "If you don't let us tie these cars together, someone's going to get hurt."
Yeah.
He goes, "Okay, Paul, I'll fix that." So then, 1976, the Rossi rule, you tie the cars together. 1976, I also did the first super stock fuel cell for stock, and I did that because I watched a man burn to death at the test.
Oh my
in
God.
Bradenton, a guy named Rick Metz. And It gave me nightmares.
So what was the difference on the fuel cell? What was special about it?
Well, a fuel cell is, if you get in an accident, it retains the fuel. It's got foam and such.
Gotcha.
That it doesn't let the fuel go over. Which is a good question you're asking. So what happened, I was, during the time that my car was being built at Butler's, which is the car you're going to see,
Okay.
well, the second one I built. But the first one was built at Butler's, the second was built at Mondella's. There's a time I wasn't racing, so I sold the A car to a gentleman by the name of Norm Carson from Canada. And he said, I want to buy your trailer too, would you sell it to me? And I go, oh, geez. And I said, I said, well, you know what? On second thought, maybe I can. I'll have a new one built. If you just pay for the new one, I'll give you this one. And he said, okay. And we built it the same way. That way, my car was done. I had a fresh trailer, and he could take this trailer with the A car.
Okay.
So at that point, I said, he bought the car right away from the National Dragster, and I said, it has to go get chassis work done because he goes, oh, no problem. Can you take care of that for me? I said, yeah, I'll get it over to Butler's, the best there is. He said, wonderful. So I took it over there, got all that done, and at that time, that was one of the first super stocks that was ever tied together. So I got that finished, took it over to my painter, and he painted it. Norm Carson's, it came out. It was great, way better looking than my car. And so anyway, I took it to the test in Bradenton, which means back in the day, before a major event, especially at the beginning of the year or the end of the year, they usually come up with a test, which means they'll get a track nearby the national event, and they'll invite all the Mopar guys out. You come out there for 3 days and just have at it. And they got engineers there, carburetor guys, ignition guys, they help you.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, Holly guys are there. You want jets, fucking hair, you know. And so it was really cool.
Yeah,
really
that sounds
cool.
awesome.
And you learned a lot and you got faster.
Yeah.
You always went faster when you went home. So this one gentleman, Rick Metz, bought this car and brought it down there. It was a pro stock car from somebody named Soup Sales or somebody like that. And he was having trouble driving it. It wasn't very stable at the high end, and it was like doing some stuff I heard. And on the second day or the second or third day, he was making full passes, and he went down there. He lost control of the car, smashed into the guardrail, and we had the fuel pumps hanging down below the quarter panel. They did that in the old days. They, you know, put all the weight on the right-hand side. That was the thing back then. And the car lost control, started flipping, and it took the fuel lines off, and it started swishing fuel around the car as it was tumbling.
Oh,
and it landed on its 4 tires, completely engulfed in flame. And by the time we got down there, he was trying to get out of the window, and he got about halfway out the window, and he burned to death. That's as far as he got.
Holy shit.
His lungs got cooked, and I just, man, I had fucking nightmares for a while.
Yeah.
And so when I got home, I went to NHRI. I said, Bill, I need to talk to you. He said, yeah. I said, I watched a man burn to death. And I said, you know, all of us stalkers and super stalkers, we got gas up to the gills because that's the way the rules are written. I mean, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that's a lot of energy laying all over the place. Wouldn't it be prudent if we put fuel cells in these cars to make that a little safer?
Yeah.
He said, well, I can't make an argument against that. Would you like to work on that? I said, I would. He said, well, I'll help you then. I said, great. So he said, here's what I want you to do. He gave it some thought, got back to me, said, cut a hole in the trunk, drop the fuel cell in, take a regular stock gas tank, shear the top of it off, use the straps, put them up there, so when you look at the car from the outside, it looks like it's got a gas tank.
Okay.
I'll be good with that. I said, okay, decent. So my car was the first car to get done like that. So when I got it done, my first race happened to be Sanair, 4,500 miles away, Canada. So I drove it all the way up there to make my first race, and I get there, tech guys there, Paul, this is your new car. Yeah, man, oh, wow, how cool. And they're oohing and on and everything, because it was pretty sharp. And they open the trunk, and they go, oh my God. And I go, what? It's got a fuel cell in it. Oh yeah, I know. I worked that out with Farmer. He goes, well, fuel cells aren't allowed in Superstock. I go, yeah, but I got special dispensation. We're working on this together. And he goes, well, Bill, isn't here. What? He's not here at this race? He goes, no. And I neglected to talk, to touch back with him, but he knew I put it in there and all that. I said, well, he's got the paperwork somewhere. Let's get a hold of him. And then we didn't have cell phones then, right?
Yeah.
So long story short, I didn't race.
Oh,
I
shit.
came all the way back home.
Jeez.
4,500 miles. Didn't race. So I call it. So Monday morning, I said, hi, Bill. Hey, you got your new car? How'd it do? I said, not so good. What happened? They wouldn't let me through tech. What? What did you do? I said, oh, I just put this stupid fuel cell in. Oh, my God. Oh, Paul, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I said, okay, be sorry and make sure I got a marker somewhere. I might use that someday. I don't think I ever did.
Wow.
And that's the name of that, too.
That's wild.
You mean, you can't make this shit up, right?
No. I don't know. That's how life is, man. Shit happens like that, and it triggers change. It has to.
Well, I didn't want that package. Looking behind this seat, is there any magazines in there?
Yes.
Okay, you guys take them out and how many's in there?
Got one. Oh, wait. Let's see if this. Yeah, just the one.
Okay, all right. Well, you guys have it.
Oh, cool.
Anyway,
You sure?
yeah, of course.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah.
That is cool.
When you're sitting on the shitter, you got nothing else to do. You can.
But you were the first one to put a 440 crank in a 400 too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I did that. I did that big article in Hot Rod. Yeah, 30 pages.
My dad
It was like the State of the Union of the 440 because the 440 was nowhere.
Yeah.
Nobody ever won a race with it. And I didn't want that program. I just came out of the fastest super stock in America. And now they want me to take a package that Landy, God rest his soul, and Lambeck turned down and gave the car back to them. They said, this doesn't run. The 446 pack does not work. And Mancini never got out of the 11s. 20s. And I said, no, I don't really want it. And they said, when I left there to go see them after World Finals, I thought, well, man, I'm on top of the world. Well, we're basically not. We don't have any. We don't have any money for the HEMI anymore. What do you mean you don't have any money? Because we can't build enough HEMI parts. They're already selling, but we've got all these 440 B engine parts and no one's buying them. Yeah, no kidding. Oops, no kidding. I said they're not fast. They're truck engines, motorhome engines. And he goes, yeah, well, we actually want you to do a program with one. No. I'm not doing that. I've been building HEMI since '63, and I'm not doing that. And they said, well, we have money for that. I know, but I'm not starting out in the basement. I'm starting out in the sewer. Because you've already had two good teams hand you the cars back, and now what do you think I do? Walk on water? I mean, I don't think that's a good. I don't think that's a good thing for me. I want to finish the development on my intake manifold. Now, by the way, all cars today use active intake manifolds, right?
Yeah.
I did it first. And you know what I got for it? Attaboy.